there she is, looking stunning in the garden. And it's a bit hard to, you probably won't be able to see this. No, you won't be able to see this, but it's started to go matte, and there's a lot of scratches on the varnish. And this was done, this varnish, there's 21 coats of varnish on here, but it was done 13 years ago. So it's amazing that it stood the test of time, because it's been in snow, rain, it's been in Turkish mountains, it's been across the world, it's been in the outback of Australia. So it's weathered really well, and to be forgiven those small scratches on there. But anyway, it's nice to bring it up to speed, and you may be able to see how it's gone quite matte here. Well, you probably won't be able to see it in the camera, but it's very matte and dull. So it needs lightly sanding back and then revarnishing. And so I've stuck a load of sheets and stuff over Chitty's rear wings, because I certainly don't want to get any varnish on there. So and in the back seats as well, I've obviously covered up the leather, just to keep any blobs, because you can bet your life that as soon as you start varnishing, you're going to drop a blob straight on a nice piece of leather or something. So a few old sheets just to keep it out of harm's way. But I've had to redo this part. We had a few blobs along here where it had just run over the side, and stupidly, like you do, I leant over it, and I had a woolly jumper on, and it all stuck in the varnish. So I've had to sand this bit back a bit, and then I'm going to revarnish that bit, so that'll come out lovely. But I have to say, I've just started down here, so you can see I've sanded this, and it seems criminal to do, and really painful that you've got this lovely woodwork and you're putting the sander on there. And the secret is to sand it back so you don't get any of these blobs anymore. You almost sand as much off as you put on, so you get rid of all the high points. And you can see over here there's loads of high points on that bit there, so you sand them off so it's nice and flat, and you just build up the coats with 75% white spirit, then 50%, then 25%, 10%, and then full on varnish, and then you get a really nice finish. So it hasn't been painful sanding that off, but it will look good in the end. Okay, well that's most of the sanding done, so now I'm going to wipe it down with a bit of white spirit. So I've just got an old rag here, and a bit of white spirit on there, and hopefully that will clean it all up, ready for a bit of varnishing. So this looks pretty painful, but as soon as you put the white spirit on and you clean it up, it doesn't look so bad. Look at that. So there's still quite a lot of varnish on there, but this gets all the high spots off, or the majority of them, and most of the scratches. And then I've got this little part up here that's looks pretty painful, but we give that a wipe, and all of a sudden it doesn't look so bad. And across here. So I'm using P400 sandpaper, which is really, really fine. So it takes a bit of sanding, but it keeps it, doesn't put deep scratches in it. Right, so it's time to put Chitty back into the garage, out of the sunshine, before we do a little bit of varnishing. It's always best to do it in the shade, really. Direct sunlight I don't think is particularly the best idea, but anyway, so we're going to pop her back in. So I've left myself a little bit of room on this side, next to the TARDIS, just so that we can get here and start putting a few coats of varnish on. So I've just put some varnish in my little jam jar, nice clean jam jar, and now I'm just going to add a bit of white spirit just to I'll probably do it, I reckon, a little bit more. There we go. So get plenty of that on the rag. And basically, just gonna put that on there like that. And then the next coats I'll probably do with a brush, but you don't get any runs really when you put it on with a rag. But you won't get the glossy finish until you put it on with a brush and you've got a full whack of varnish really. But you can instantly see the difference. So the thing is, I've got to stress really that how I do the varnishing may not be the right way. I'm sure there's plenty of good boat builder out there who'll tell you different, but for me I've used Schooner International Yacht Varnish, which is brilliant. I found it brilliant, and I've put the first coats on with a mixture of white spirit, so it was 25% varnish and 75% white spirit, and then the next coat was 50% white spirit and varnish, and then 75% varnish and only 25%. And I put the first lot on with a cloth, and it seemed to go on really nice, you know, particularly when it was bare wood and it absorbed into it lovely. But when I'm sanding back, I don't have to go into that real detail anymore. But I did do 50-50 and put that first one on with a rag, and then I did the actual varnishing with a brush, and that seemed to work for me. So it might not be the right way, I don't know, but it does give a good finish, and hopefully when it's all done, it'd be great. Now there's only one little hazard that's really been a fly in the ointment. I did varnish once outside in the garden, and it was an overcast day, and then when I looked at it, it was full of gnats and little flea fly things. They'd all sat on it, and it was awful. So doing it inside is better. And the only other fly in the ointment has been the cat, because I've got Teddy the cat, and he comes in the garage with me, and he's got a thing about jumping on fresh varnish. You know, it's never good. Okay, time for the first coat with a brush. This is the scary bit. Trying not to get too much on the brush.